All right, let's talk about something every single business owner has to deal with. But let's be honest, not many have truly mastered payroll. I mean, on the surface, it sounds so simple, right? You just pay your people. But as we're about to find out, what's hiding just beneath that paycheck is a whole world of complexity, compliance, and really critical details. So let's dive in and see what's really going on.
45.7%. Let's just let that number hang in the air for a second. What in the world could that be about?
Yep, that's it. That number is the nearly half of all businesses in America that pay their teams biweekly. It just goes to show you how completely routine, how fundamental payroll is to the whole rhythm of our economy. It's this constant, repeating task for millions of us. But here's the thing, routine does not mean simple.
To really get this, we're going to use a classic metaphor, the iceberg. Because what you and your employees actually see, that paycheck, that direct deposit, that's just the tiny little tip. What's really going on is this massive, complex structure hidden just beneath the surface.
And this right here gets to the heart of it. Payroll is so much more than just an admin task. It's a critical, high-stakes function that touches on serious legal compliance, financial accuracy, and maybe the most important thing of all, your team's morale. Getting it wrong? Well, that has consequences that go way beyond a simple accounting mistake.
So, okay, if it's an iceberg, it's also kind of like a maze. A maze just filled with all these rules, regulations, and little calculations that can so easily trip you up, even if you're being super careful. So let's take a peek at just a few of the twists and turns you've got to navigate.
We'll start with what seems like the easiest part, gross income. But you know what? Right away, it gets complicated. You've got your regular hours, sure, but then you have to factor in overtime, which has its own whole set of federal rules. Then maybe you add in bonuses or commissions, and all of a sudden, even this very first step has a bunch of variables you have to get exactly right.
From there, you enter what is probably the deepest part of the maze, taxes. And notice, that's plural, taxes. It's not just one thing. You're juggling federal obligations for Social Security and Medicare, then federal income tax withholding, and then you have to layer on state and sometimes even local income taxes. Each one has its own rules, its own rates, its own deadlines. It's a lot.
And then you run into things like garnishments. This is where you, the employer, are legally required to deduct money from an employee's pay to satisfy a debt. I mean, these are highly sensitive, legally binding orders with very specific limits and processing rules. The stakes for messing this up are incredibly high.
So, when you put it all together, the full to-do list is, well, it's staggering. You've got the basic processing and tax filings, direct deposit, handling garnishments, new hire reporting, integrating benefits, tracking time. The list just goes on and on and on. For so many small business owners, this becomes a full-time job all by itself.
Feeling a little overwhelmed? Yeah, that's kind of the point. But there is a clear path through this maze. And that path is all about finding an expert guide, outsourcing to the pros who live and breathe this stuff every single day.
So you really have two paths you can go down. On the left, you've got the do-it-yourself approach. And look, it's filled with risks of compliance errors, it absolutely drains your time and focus, and it forces you to constantly try and keep up with ever-changing rules. But then on the right, you have expert outsourcing. Here, accuracy and compliance are pretty much guaranteed. Your time is freed up to actually grow your business, and the whole thing is managed by people who are dedicated experts. When you see it laid out like this, the choice becomes, well, pretty clear. So what are you really getting with that expert guide? It's not just a person, it's a whole system. You're getting highly trained staff who live for this stuff. You're getting proven, reliable processes that have been tested over and over. You get access to the best technology that plugs right into your other systems. And you get solutions that can grow and scale right along with your business.
But let's move beyond just the features for a minute and talk about the real payoff here. Because thinking about payroll this way, it's not just about hiring a service. It's about making a really smart, strategic decision for your business.
First and foremost is this, peace of mind. The sheer amount of mental energy that business owners spend worrying about compliance and deadlines and accuracy, it's huge. Handing that responsibility over to an expert just lifts this massive weight right off your shoulders.
And what do you do with all that new mental space and extra time? You put it back where it truly matters. You focus on your products, on your customers, on your strategy, the things that actually grow your business.
And ultimately, what this all leads to is the real benefit, confidence. Just the pure confidence to go after your vision, knowing that this super critical, super complex part of your business is being handled correctly. Every single time.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but you probably still have some questions, right? So let's just tackle some of the most common ones head on.
Here's a big one, especially in today's world of remote work. Can an outside service actually handle having employees in a bunch of different states?
The answer is a huge, resounding yes. In fact, this is one of the biggest reasons to use an expert. They are already set up to manage all the unique tax and reporting rules for each and every state, something that is frankly a nightmare for a business owner to keep up with on their own.
And what about all that paperwork? The quarterly reports, the annual filings. Does the service actually handle all of that?
Oh, absolutely. A good, comprehensive payroll service takes care of all of it. All federal, state, and local tax filings are done for you. That's a huge piece of the value, just removing that administrative headache and the risk of filing later, getting it wrong.
Okay, this all sounds amazing, but is it going to be a total nightmare to get started? How long does it actually take to get set up?
You'd probably be surprised. For most businesses, the whole setup process takes just 1 to 2 weeks. A professional service is going to have a really smooth, well-supported onboarding process that's designed to get you up and running with as little disruption as possible.
And that brings us to our final thought. As we've seen, the complexities are huge and the stakes are really high. So the real question isn't just about the price of a service. It's about flipping the whole script and asking yourself, what is the true cost? In your time, in your stress, in risk, and in lost opportunity of trying to do it all yourself.